Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, today I'll be a little slow. Actually, I had some small accident and so my tooth are paining. So that's why I last for last 3 days and doctor cannot detect what it is. So he asked me not to speak much, but anyway, so we have to contact the class. So I'll be a little slow. If you cannot hear me or something, you may tell me, okay?
Oh, sure, sir. Definitely.
Okay. Okay, so last day, what we discussed, we talked about universal quantum gate, uh, universal quantum gates, and today also we'll talk about universal gates a little bit. But before that, as towards the end, I said that this one qubit gates are like phase phase gate. Okay, so they are like, so there is a parameter delta, so it's a continuous family of gates. So it may so happen that the matrix or the circuit you want to construct, okay, or you want to realize this matrix. Let's say this is a unitary matrix of order 2 to the power n by 2 to the power n. And so you want to design a circuit. So the circuit will contain a lot of gates, maybe 1 qubit gate, 2 qubit gates, and so on. So, but what can happen is, so maybe the design circuit is not ideal one. Ideal one means, for example, as I said, suppose you have some RZ delta kind of a thing in the circuit, but delta need not be realized, okay, properly, like whatever the exact value we need, like theoretically what is valid, experimentally that need not be valid. So that means there is a chance that all the gates which are used in the computation or in the circuit, so that may need not be implemented properly. And if it is not, then there will be an error in the resulting state. So then the question would be how to analyze how does the error propagate, okay, if you have non-ideal implementation of the quantum gates. So I will just give you a brief review of this, okay. And so here basically, so as we have seen in quantum circuit, so we can say like if we say that quantum computation is equivalent to a quantum circuit, then we know that so given some initial, let's say, state, means suppose I have n qubit state, so it is in c to the power n. Then I will apply some kind of unitary operations on this. Okay, this is, let's say, u, some unitary operation. Okay, and I'll keep on doing that. Let's say this is the first one, and so on. Let's say this is the second one, and dot dot dot. So let's say I'll do something. Okay, so let's up to UK. I'll do it up to, like, there are k gates. Let's say like that. So there are k unitary operations which are applied on the initial state. Sometimes people will write I as an initial state, doesn't matter. Okay, so let me write it as 0. So then ultimately we'll get something called, let's say, some psi k. Okay, this is the resulting state. Now what we're talking about is this unitary matrix, whatever is required in the theory, okay, that in the experimental situation this need not be implemented exactly. Okay, so then there will be an error. Okay, yeah, so if this is the case, that this psi k after k steps, this is the case, then we can write that, let's say, psi I, let's say this denote like ui psi I minus 1. This is the equation. You can say I is bigger equal to 1. So this is the governing equation of the quantum computation. Okay, now if ui in this particular, so the ith operation, ith unitary operator, if it is not exact, if it is not perfect, okay, then what will happen is, so then maybe we'll have some vi, okay, which is approximating ui, let's say. So ui is not, vi is not exactly ui, but it is close to ui in some sense. Okay, we'll talk about that in which sense. So if you apply, let's say vi on psi I minus 1, then you are not supposed to get psi I, but you will get psi I plus something. Okay, this plus is the error. So let's say I denote it as ei. Okay, so then this will be the exact dynamics, not this one. I mean, this is the desired one. This is the desired one, but actually you'll have this one. This is the implemented part, implemented evolution, let's say. So, and then we can, what is ei? So from here, if ei is the error vector or error state, then we can say, so that is, since psi I is this one, so we can say that this error is nothing but bi minus ui, bi minus ui times the psi I minus 1. Okay. Okay. So this is my error vector. So now if I keep on doing this, okay, so let me say starting from the, so let's say psi I tilde, let this be the implemented one, implemented, or that this is the output, with the output, or ith output also you can say, the output of the implemented circuit. Then we can say that psi 1 tilde, this is nothing but psi 1 plus E1. Similarly, we can say this psi 2, let's say psi 2 tilde. So this is my implemented one. So psi 2 tilde, this will be some V2 psi 1 tilde. And then this can be written as some psi 2 plus some error plus some V2, because V2 will also act on E1. So it will be like this. So if you keep on doing this, okay, so what do you get ultimately after the k step? So you'll get this psi k tilde. This will be equal to some this exact one plus the error plus this vk, and then ek minus 1. I mean, you just do it for all k. So and then this will be vk minus 1, and then this e k minus 2 plus dot 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 plus, you can say vk minus 1 dot 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 up to v2 and then u1. So this is the general expression for the after the k step. Okay, after the k step, when this circuit is not perfect. Okay. So then what we can do is we can take this in the right and left hand side, and we can say that psi k tilde minus psi k. So this is what I want, because we want to measure the error, and these are, recall that these are all vectors. Okay. So I want to basically calculate the distance between these two vectors. Okay. So if I take k, so okay, let me write it. This is ek plus vk ek minus 1 plus dot 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 plus vk minus 1 dot 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 vk u1. Now once you do that, then we can take norm both sides. So any norm you can take. So let's say you take a norm, and then which will measure the distance between the exact one and the implemented one. So then the right hand side also will be a norm, And then since norm is a distance concept of like a length, okay, so norm has a property like it satisfies the triangle inequality. So using norm you can define distance also. So you can say that this is less equal to norm of ek plus norm of ek minus 1 plus norm of vk minus 1, and this will be v2 e1. So now this is not any norm, but here for the like to make our life simple, okay. So we will assume that this is unitarily invariant norm. It means like for example, if you take norm 2 means the standard Euclidean distance, okay. Then this is unitarily invariant. That means even if you multiply with the unitary matrix method, the unitary matrix always keeps the norm unchanged. So this is equal to norm of ek plus norm of ek minus 1 plus plus norm of u1. So this error is bounded by this number, the norm of sum of the norms of the error. Okay. Now, what are these EIs? You see here, we have said what is this EI? EI is here from this equation. That EI is the error when we approximate EY by VI. Okay, this is how EI is defined. So then what we can write is, we are looking for a bound for this right hand side. Now, since EI is equal to VI minus EY times psi I minus 1. Okay, psi I minus 1. So, and then also, so that is, we can say norm of EI is equal to norm of this. Now here, VI or EY are both unitary, but it does not mean that VI minus EY is also unitary, right? So this is not, this need not be a unitary matrix. So that means what we can write in general, the property of the norm is that this is less equal to, in fact, we can write something more that we can write. I mean, if you know about so this is a matrix basically, okay? This term is a matrix. If you remember the definition of matrix norm, okay? So for example, if you define the sup norm, so if you have any matrix A, let's say, max, sorry, sup means supremum. So this is supremum or the maximum also you can write x over all x not equal to 0. Or you can also say norm x equal to 1 instead of this. So this is the definition of the sup norm. So then we have this less equal to sup norm of vi minus ey. So this is exactly the error when you have implemented ui through vi. And this norm is, it can be said also, this is the lambda max actually. Lambda max means this is the eigenvalue of maximum modulus. Okay, so then this is nothing but that. So you have to calculate the eigenvalues of vi minus ey, and you have to take that eigenvalue which is maximum norm. So that norm, that value will give you this error. So this is true for all I, just for all I. I mean, so here when you write ek minus 1 dot up to e1, so these errors are less equal to v1 minus e1, norm of v1 minus e1 plus norm of v1 minus e2, u2, and so on. So finally, then we can say that if norm of vi minus ui is, let's say, less than some epsilon, then we can say norm of, and for all I, we can take the maximum one also, like what is the maximum value for all ui's, and let's say the maximum value is epsilon, some number epsilon. Okay, then it is less equal to this less than epsilon for all I. Then we can say psi delta k minus psi k. This will be less than n epsilon. So essentially, I sorry, it is k epsilon, k times what is it. So essentially, so we can say now, so this is the implemented, this is the implemented one, okay, through the circuit, and this is the desired one. And the gap between this is k epsilon, where k, now I will define a term, k is what? Basically, k is the number of operations you have used. Okay, u1, u2, uk. So yeah, this is what k is. K is basically, so this is the entire matrix V, U, which you implemented using this k operations. And this number k is actually called the length of the circuit or the length of the corresponding quantum computation. Okay, so as I said, whenever you have a circuit, so we always write this in terms of this unitary matrices, okay, as some product of, let's say, a tensor product of some small, I mean unitary matrices of smaller dimension. Okay, so for example, if you apply Toffoli gate, earlier we said Toffoli gate, we know that what is the matrix Toffoli gate here. Okay, yeah, for example, here we use Toffoli gate, 3 Toffoli gates in, okay, in the first, I mean before this targeted operation. Okay, you have this, each Toffoli gate is nothing but a unitary matrix. So this is that matrix. So E1, U2, U3, and so on. Okay, so this could be U1, this is U2, this is from the right hand side. Okay, so okay, this will be, yeah, from the left hand side, U1, then U2, then U3, then U4, then U5, then U6, then U7. Okay, so this is the corresponding UIs. So what is happening is, we can say now if epsilon is the error or the maximum error, let's say, then this growth of error, so the original question, how does the error propagate? So this error propagates linearly. So this is the ultimate conclusion. So the error, okay, propagate. This is the worst case, that's what we can say. Okay, linearly, because it's a scaling of k, right? So epsilon is the error basically. So propagate linearly with the length of the circuit. So length of the circuit. So this also can be, this concept of length can also be considered as a measure for understanding computational complexity, or sorry, the circuit complexity of a circuit. So okay, whether a circuit, so this is kind of a measure. If let's say k is very, very large, then of course error will propagate. So this bound also give me an idea, like k can be a measure, the length of the quantum circuit can be a measure for the complexity of the circuit. So this is called the with the length of the circuit, okay, which is k here, So the error propagate linearly with the length of the circuit at worst. Okay, so yeah, so because it is less than that, because if someone is choosing that way, that is less than this. Okay, so yeah, now so that is what I was saying. In fact, so original question was, okay, what we have shown is that the universal quantum gates could be, I mean, a collection of sets, okay, which is like all 1 qubit gates, single qubit gates, and C0 gate. But when you include all, or if you even if you include like RZ delta, RX delta, RY delta, okay, so then number of delta could be anything, okay, delta anything. Then the question would be, can you have a, because this is an infinite collection in that case. So then the question would be, can we have a finite number of finite collection of gates? For example, the Hadamard gate is a perfect gate, okay? There is no parameter. So it is, can it be independent of a parameter? And can we have that? If we have that, then the question is, using only finitely many gates, we want to implement all possible unitary operations on n qubits. So basically all possible circuits, and to realize all possible circuits or all possible unitary matrices. Okay, operating on, acting on, let's say, n qubits. Then of course, if you consider this as a finite set of gates, there definitely be errors. Then the question is how much error it could be, and this is the bound for that error. Okay, that this much error it can generate or accumulate, and it depends on the length of the circuit. So this is a very nice thing, and I'll give you without any proof. I'll give you, because the proofs are very long and proofs are very recent, maybe within 10 years. Okay, so I'll not give you the proofs, but I'll give you a list of sets of unitary gates. Okay, so there is another thing. Okay, I'll come to that later maybe. So another thing I said here that
So, excuse me, sir. Why is there a k power n, epsilon power n?
what is that?
Why did you write k power n, epsilon power n?
Oh no, it's not power n. It is inverted comma epsilon. Okay,
Oh,
epsilon is the inverted comma. Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Yeah. So now another question, as I said. Okay. So here in the quantum circuits, I did not show that ultimately you have to measure, because how do you know that what is the state? Okay. So that you have to measure with something. Okay. So when I define what is a quantum computation or quantum model, I said three things. One is the state preparation, the initial state you have to prepare. Second thing is I talked about how to prepare an initial state, which is uniform states using those Hadamard gate. I said, okay, you can prepare that, or even you can prepare this. Suppose this input is all zero. Okay, that also you can prepare. You can think like that. Otherwise, you can just apply Hadamard gate on individual qubits, and you'll get a uniform distribution of all possible, let's say, to the power n linear combination to the power n states or basis states. So then ultimately here you have to do kind of a measurement. For example, here you have to do kind of a measurement whether you have got this or not, whatever the desired one state you are getting this or not. Okay, or what is the probability that you will get that precise thing. Okay, so ultimately end of the day you have to perform a measurement. And in fact, so that's why the problem with quantum computation is that all the answers are probabilistic. Okay, it will not give you a definite answer like the classical or let's say deterministic classical algorithms or whatever we have. It will not give you a very precise value. Okay, so it will give you more likely it will with probability something. So 100 times you do this, run this circuit, let's say, and every time you measure, let's say you get a corresponding state. So then out of 100 measurements, okay, how many times you get a corresponding state? So and then accordingly you will have a sense of probability. Okay, that this many times I got, let's say psi1, this many times I got psi2. So yeah, so since these are all qubits, for example here this is, let's say, the qubit. So you can choose a computational basis here and can do the measurements. So either you'll get 0 or you will get 1. And once we have this 100 times, and when you do the measurement 100 times, sometime if several times you will get 0 and several times you will get 1, and based on that you'll have guess like this is the success or probability of success, you can say, like our probability of getting 0 and we're going to do 1, and then you can have a guess about the state with the probability. Okay, a probability amplitude, not the precise state, but you will say, okay, this is the possible outcome. Okay, because only you know the module as well, the probability, not the precise state. Precise state you cannot obtain. So here, even if I write something like phi here, so this phi will be like psi 0, alpha 0 plus, let's say, beta 1. Now if you measure this, you will not get precise value of alpha beta, but you will get an approximation of mod of alpha square and mod of beta square. You will not get, so you cannot detect the phase, but you will get the amplitudes like mod alpha square, mod beta square. From that, you can guess like, okay, whether you are getting the desired one or not. So this is also a problem with quantum computation. But anyway, we'll not talk about that right now, because maybe we'll talk about that later, because I did not discuss measurement much. Okay, but anyway, this is very simple. This is just computational basis measurement, but measurement also can be generalized. Okay, in a generalized setup when you will have, let's say, density matrices and so on. But the question I asked here is, okay, so you have an imperfect state. I mean, in the output of the circuit. Now you are performing some measurement. Now, if you perform some measurement, okay, there will also be an error, because the desired state is not produced at the destination. Okay, so the desired one, the desired probability, you can say it is like pi, I will say. So you measure let's say my psi k was output, okay, as I said in the program, and then you are measuring it in the computational basis. So you will have this. This is the probability of getting this. But actually what you are getting, but due to the imperfect realization of the circuit or the unitary operation, so you are supposed to get pi tilde, not pi, which will be actually, let's say, I psi k tilde and then square, something like that you are supposed to get. Then the question will be, what is the difference? Can we bound this number pi minus pi tilde for each individual I, or maybe I can take the sum over all this I. Okay, can I have a bound for that? Because you'll do it many times. I mean, you'll get probably, depending on, let's say I could be 0 or could be 1 if psi k is a qubit. Okay, you are measuring that on a qubit. Otherwise, it could be n qubit. So then you are measuring entire thing, all possible qubits you are measuring. So I was just saying measuring one particular qubit in that particular circuit in the picture, but you can measure possibly in a quantum algorithm all possible outputs you need to, all possible qubits you need to measure. Then pi is for all, let's say, or whatever the output is correspond to this, you will get some pi value. So here I could be equal to just 0 or 1 if you are measuring a qubit. So then the question will be, so what is that? Can we give a bound of that? This value probability, and Preskill proved that this is always less equal to, I'm not going to prove it, but this is always less equal to 2 times that error, that psi k tilde minus psi k. So this is, you'll find a discussion about this in this Preskill's lecture note, which you may follow, and yeah, Preskill's lecture note. Okay, so yeah, so this is a brief idea, like this much error you may get, but this is not a very tight bound. Tight means in a sense like this could be a loose bound for certain cases. Okay, so yeah, so this is what is known in the literature. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll probably discuss some more. Okay, so what I said that day I was saying some elemented get that order of k square and so on, how to implement a c to the power k, okay, k control the unitary operation and so on. Okay, so first question is, okay, Toffoli gate, okay, is a universal gate for classical computation, right? Now the question will be, is it also universal for quantum computation? What do you think? So Toffoli gate is universal for classical computation, but can it be universal for also quantum computation?
Yes, sir. That was what we proved, right? The last class. We could realize any unitary matrix.
No, we said we proved that. So we had single qubit gates of CNOT gate also, that can be Toffoli gate can be realized or can be implemented through single qubit gates and CNOT gate, and then we said one qubit gates, single qubit gates and CNOT gate is universal. We did not say that Toffoli gate is universal, but Toffoli gate can be implemented. Okay, using Toffoli gate can be used to implement other gates, c to the power k this.
Okay.
In fact, the answer is very simple. Why? I'll tell you. This cannot be. Why? Because this matrix is real. So if you Toffoli get this matrix is a real matrix. So, and if you want to implement a complex matrix is a real matrix, it is not possible. Okay, it could be a very general viewpoint, but what do you think? I mean, I'll leave it here. So my question, you can think about it. So I'm just giving you a hint. But I'll tell you, okay, yeah, just give me, let me say this. What is that? Yeah, so is Toffoli get universal? Sorry, I could not prepare also the assignment because I had this accident on Friday last week. is TOEFL get universal for quantum computation? So the answer is no, and you just have to justify. Think about this, because you can, if you if you if you look at the literature, you and look for an answer to this question, you'll learn maybe something new. That is why I'm leaving it. So I'm not saying why, but I'm just giving you a hint that this is real. But this may not be sufficient. That is what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm asking you to. Real means this gate corresponds to a real unitary matrix. So basically an orthogonal matrix. Okay, there is another thing which I did not say. There are two things. Okay. Then the question. Okay, let me start from here also. Then there will be a link. So then the question will be, if topology is not universal, can there be some additional gates along with which it will give you a set of gates which is universal for quantum computation? And that is possible. Okay, but there are two things. So this is not like classical, not like exactly classical computation, which is here. I already know that there is an infinite collection of gates which will give you a universal model of computation, but I want it to be finite. Okay, so that means there is always a chance of imperfect relation of unitary matrices, theoretically speaking. Okay, so then there is a new concept. Okay, so if I want this to be finite, a finite set of gates which can be universal, so then my that let's say operation, let's say, let me call those gates as operational gates, which is a list of gates or set of gates which act as universal model of quantum computation, or which are universal gates for quantum computation. So then I have a new notion. In one instance, there is something called computational universality, meaning I will not be able to exactly realize any unitary matrix of order 2 to the power n by 2 to the power n, but I'll be epsilon close to the original one, because I'm using only finitely many. Because I cannot implement infinitely many, because delta could, as I said, like delta is pi, but I cannot implement pi properly, or let's say delta is something which is irrational. Okay, I cannot implement that. Okay, even all real rational numbers are also not possible to implement. So, but anyway, so the question is, even if I consider it as an irrational, I know that it is not possible to implement. So then any unitary matrix can be, okay, close to close to a circuit, okay, which is built up by some finite many gates. So then this if that is the case, then that set of that finite set will be called computationally universal. Okay, so there is another concept of something called universality, but here it is called computational universality. So okay, let me just define this two term, but I will not explain because we don't have that much time. But just to give it a view, okay, the perspective, like how much different this quantum computation is from classical. So here this universality can be divided into two categories. Okay, so I will just write a definition. One is something called strict strict universality. So a set of gates, a set of, let's say, quantum gates. Okay, this is said to be, is called strictly universal. Strictly universal. Okay, if, so this is a mathematical definition. So if there is a number n naught such that, okay, for any n, let me just complete what is n naught. Any n bigger than equal to n naught, the subgroup generated by, okay, let me denote this set as S. Generated by S is dense in SU2 to the power n. Okay, so SU 2 to the power n means it is a set of all unitary matrices of order 2 to the power n by 2 to the power n, okay, which have determinant 1. So this is set of all, in fact you can say group of all. This gives you a group structure with respect to the standard multiplication. So group of all unitary matrices of order 2 to the power n by 2 to the power n, okay, which have determinant 1. Determinant 1. Does anybody know what is the meaning of dense? Okay, I'll not explain here what is dense because this is math 1, but I'll just tell you, I mean, maybe they don't also teach in math 1. So dense here, this is like a calculus concept of, you can say, real analysis. Okay, so let me just give you an example to understand what it is. So Q, set of all rational numbers, is dense in R. Dense in R. It means what? If Q means a set of rational numbers and R means a set of real numbers, it means if you take any rational number, that's a Q, and take any open neighborhood like this, so any open interval, this open interval always contains real numbers, which are not Q. Q is always a real number. But when I'm saying this Q is dense in R, for any Q, let's say, let me write this interval as Q minus epsilon to Q plus epsilon. Q minus epsilon to Q plus epsilon always contain real numbers, basically irrational numbers, real numbers, okay, which are not Q. So that means what is happening is Q, then we'll say Q is dense in R. That means, so that is why actually computational, even though the computational world, okay, computational mathematics or computational world is finite or maybe just rational, still everything works because there is a number which is rational, which is arbitrarily close or very close, need not be arbitrary, but very close to any rational number. So any Q, okay, if you take in the neighborhood of Q, there is always an irrational number, and that length epsilon here could be arbitrarily small. It may be 10 to the power minus 100, does not matter. Still, whenever you get a, let's say, whenever you draw this kind of or take this kind of an interval, you always encounter an irrational number. So they are so closely spaced together on this line. So here, in this case, what is happening is that there is something called a subgroup generated by S. It means you have a set of gates, let's say, and gates means they are unitary matrices. Then there is a concept called the group generated by a set. Okay, basically you take all, so whatever the set is, let's say S contains some A, B, C, D, then you multiply all possible way of A, B, C, D. How many times you want doesn't matter. Okay, so you always end up getting some element, and this set actually will form a group. Okay, so that group is called the subgroup generated by S, and that's the subgroup of this SU to the power n. And it is dense in SU to the power n means, so if SUN is something like this, if something like this, if this is SU to the power n, then this is so much dense, the group or the subgroup generated by S, such that if you take any point here and if you take a neighborhood, okay, you always encounter an element of SU to the power n. Okay, so this is like that. Okay, so this is the definition of strict universality. And when you say computational universality, so there is one more definition: computational universality. Okay, so here a set of quantum gates S is said to be computational universal. Universal if these gates which are in this set S, let's say, okay, these gates or the gates in S, okay, can be used to simulate or to realize, okay, simulate to epsilon error or an error bound epsilon, okay, any quantum circuit, okay, which uses, let's say, n qubits, and let's say some gates, t gates, some number of gates. So this is also a measure of, this is actually, I'm having heavy pain, just what a minute. So, and this, how many gates are there in a quantum circuit? That could also be a complexity, okay, a circuit complexity. We'll talk about that maybe later. And T gates, okay, from uses n qubits and T gates, okay, from a strictly universal set with only polynomial over it or polylogarithmic over it, let's say, over it in this nt1 by epsilon. So basically, essentially, I mean, you may precisely don't need to know maybe common complexity means if there is, I mean, up to some error bound, it can be obtained, and that complexity, okay, the number of gates, okay, the t, let's say, okay, so that will be polylogarithmic of these parameters nt1 by epsilon. Okay, you have these parameters, using these parameters, you may get a polynomial. Okay, that much order you can always get, and then, so this is called what is called this is called computational universality, and it can be shown. It can be shown that this Hadamard gate along with the Toffoli gate, okay, Toffoli gate, okay, this is computationally universal. Universal. And I think this proof is not very old. This proof, when? Maybe 2000, something like that. Yeah, maybe around 2000. I don't remember it exactly, maybe around 2000. So it can be shown that this is computationally universal. Now, so this is this epsilon, that's why this epsilon bound is very, very important here, okay? Up to the epsilon error, it can be this epsilon. Okay, now, okay, then I ask you a question that whether Toffoli gate is...
Can you say what that polynomial logarithmic, what does that mean? Polynomial logarithmic?
Yeah, polylogarithmic overhead. So what I'm
Okay,
saying is...
polylogarithmic, what is the other term afterwards you wrote?
In these parameters, n, t, and 1 by epsilon. So essentially it means, that's what I said informally, it means...
No,
So
what is
whatever
that word which you wrote? Polylogarithmic?
polylogarithmic, it's some logarithm of some these numbers, and then you have the polynomial. Polynomial, let's say log n or log
The
1 by
word after
epsilon.
that, sir. The word after that.
Overhead.
Okay.
Overhead. Okay. So up to polynomial times of this, I mean, this is what I'm saying.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So now the thing is, Yeah, I asked you a question that is Toffoli gate, right? Toffoli gate is not universal in quantum computation. But the thing, okay, so whenever I say quantum computation, so I have two things now, okay? Whether it is strictly universal or let's say it is computationally universal. Now the question is, then, okay, Toffoli gate is not universal. Does there exist any 3-qubit gate which is universal? That's the question now. That does there exist? What is it? Does there exist a 3-qubit gate which is universal in quantum computation? Answer is yes. Okay, and that gate is called Datusch gate. Okay, this is a 3-qubit gate. I'll just give you the matrix representation of this. So you can say that this is I6 because this is 3-qubit gate, so dimension is 8 2 to the power 3, and everything is 0 here, 0 here. Okay, and this last 2 by 2 is I cos theta, sine theta. So everything is 0 here, and sine theta, I cos theta. So we prove that this is this gate. So this is also an infinite collection, by the way, sine theta. So this is universal when theta is any constant angle such that 2 theta by pi is irrational. So this is an example of 3-qubit gate which is universal. Okay. Okay. However,
Sir,
even
is
if this
this
is
a set of gates theta for different theta
yeah,
or just the one gate?
no,
Set of
set of gates. Yeah. So theta
Sir,
could be
this
anything like this.
Sir, but if we are talking about set, then we can just take set of all unitary matrices, right? Then that will be okay.
No. Set of all unitary matrices is not known, right? There is no parametric form like that. 2 by 2
Okay.
we have. 2 by 2 we
Okay.
have. Right, but we do not have all the collection. It is not known. Like
Okay.
of order, any order. Okay. So
Sir, this is
okay.
computational universality or strict universality, the Dirichlet you get.
No, this is theoretical, strictly universal.
Okay.
But there is a problem with this gate. So this is very hard to implement, inefficient in terms of gate count. So there will be so many gates, okay, required to implement a circuit, but this is inefficient. It's disproved in the literature, you can see. I'm not going to discuss it. Inefficient, but this is not efficient. But the advantage of this gate is, I mean, not the advantage, but one application of this gate is that the next question is, okay, in classical computation, there is no 2-bit gate which is universal. And the question is, does there exist any gate which is 2-qubit and universal in quantum computing? And the answer is yes. So here is another question. Does there exist a 2-qubit quantum gate which is universal? Answer is yes. Answer is yes. And that gate is known as this. In fact, he is also one of the authors of that paper I asked you to read. That which is available in my webpage. Elementary gates of quantum computing, something like that. Barenko gate. So this gate is very simple. It's 2 qubits, so it's a 4 by 4 by matrix. But here, so this is kind of a control one. It's kind of a control gate. So here you have this I alpha cos theta minus I to the power I alpha minus phi sine theta 0, 0, 0. minus I e to the power I alpha plus phi sin theta e to the power I alpha cos theta. But here there is a connection between alpha, theta, and phi. Okay, so here phi, alpha, theta are irrational multiples of pi and also each other. So these are not arbitrary, these parameters. Okay, and yeah, this is also universal. But so when I said this is the order of k square in that yesterday, when we talked about c to the power k you get, or generalized c to the power k you get. So there, this Baron-Cohen gate, you need k square to implement that. That's what I mean. Yeah, so now, so I will just, so this is just, okay, what is the use of this gate? So he proved that he proved that Doist gate can be implemented using these gates. And Doist proved that his gate is universal, so these gates also are universal. So this is the use of that Doist gate. Now I give you a family of gates which are computationally universal, okay, or universal, both of these. So okay, so this is some collection of universal gates. Universal gates. One is of course Rx, Ry, Rz, phase gate, and C naught. So this is finite, but actually it is infinite. So this is a set of universal gates. Another gate is like this Baron-Cohen. And this is actually the most used one. I mean, even if this is infinite, but doesn't matter. Whenever you are applying it, you only need some specific Rj or Ry or Rx gate. So, but theoretically speaking, you need to consider all. And then this is phi alpha theta. This is also one collection. And another nice collection is actually just Hadamard, which is 1 by root 2, 1, 1. I think we discussed this. And the phase gate, but here is a particular phase gate. So it's like 1, 0, 0, I and C naught. Okay, and another phase gate, which is written as this 1, 0, 0 e to the power I pi by 4. So this 4 gates also forms a computationally universal gate. Okay, so this is R pi by 8, RZ pi by 8. Okay, and this, so this is when I'm saying that, so I said, okay, so this is computationally universal, then here the bound is the order, that's the order I was talking about. So this is log. So I think last year also we talked about that. So this is a very famous theorem. This is called log. This is log to the power c 1 by epsilon. So this is the order of number of gates, okay, which you can use from this collection to implement this with accuracy epsilon. So that's, I talked about accuracy, here accuracy and this order, yeah, epsilon accuracy. So you want to do that, then this order is like this: log to the power c 1 minus epsilon, and c, as I said before also, c is approximately 2 as claimed by this Nielsen-Chung. And here this is a famous theorem. This is called Solvay-Kitaev theorem.
Sir, can you repeat, sir? What is this complexity about?
This is about how many number of gates you require, okay, to implement a circuit using only these gates, the gates from this set, okay, with accuracy epsilon.
Sir, can we?
So this is, we can say, yeah, go ahead.
So is this strictly universal? Can we generate like every angle with this? No, right?
I said computational universal.
Okay.
This is computational universal, and this is the number of gates. Number of gates, okay, with error accuracy, error accuracy epsilon. So if I give you any unitary matrix of 2 to the power n by 2 to the power n, you want to implement that unitary matrix using these gates only. I mean, these gates from this set only. Okay, and then you can achieve that up to an error epsilon. Okay, with number of gates in that case will be of this order. C is approximately equal to 2. This is as claimed by Niels and Chun. Anyway, so yeah, so these are basically basics of this thing, all these gates. But one thing, what happens in the experimental world? Okay, C0 gate is a nice gate. Here you see, here you have C0 gate. So this is boring. I mean, Barenko gate is okay, good from the theoretical perspective, but not implementation perspective. So in implementation perspective, experimentally, this gate and this set are useful. In fact, in most of the computational platforms, this first collection is used. So basically, if I ask you that, okay, I give you a unitary matrix, then you have to write that unitary matrix in terms of some product of unitary matrices using these small gates and smaller dimensions, C0 gate and these 4 single qubit gates. Okay, then the question is C0 is very special here. C0 gate is, the question is, how do you implement C0? Okay, so C0 is very, very crucial. So at least you have to know how to implement C0. C0 plays a very crucial role because we said, like, in order to generate also entanglement. By the way, these are all experimentally proved things. Okay, in fact, TOEFL is it was also experimentally implemented. Okay, or yeah, it was simulated experimentally. The TOEFL gate, I think it was in Austria, and entanglement is also generated, okay, experimentally. So these already have done experimentally some of the things, not all, but some of the things. So, but the question is, how do I implement? So implementation about C0 gate. How do I implement this implementation of C0 gate?
Sir, what is the C over there, sir? Log bar C you wrote, right? What does that C? Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, it got disconnected. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. Sir, what is that C? Log bar C 1 by epsilon you wrote, right? What is that C?
C is a constant, positive constant.
Okay, constant.
Can you see, guys, the screen?
I can see. So yeah, seems like it stopped somewhere. Implementation of C0. I can see that.
Okay, so this is showing. Just a minute. What happened? I don't know. Okay, so yeah, I think implementation of C0.
So now we can see the screen.
You cannot see?
Nothing is visible.
No. That.
Just a minute. Yeah, I think you can see it now. Actually, today I didn't get a chance to start my switch on my this desktop, so I don't know. I am only working with this iPad. I cannot see whether it is visible or not. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so the question is, how do I implement this C0 gate? Okay, the thing is, okay, even if you have quantum computing, but quantum computing has different platforms in physics. Okay, I mean, as if, for example, how to implement a qubit. Now, a qubit can be used, for example, I mean, from the quantum mechanics course, you must know the quantum mechanics part. You must know that, for example, you can use optics like linear optics, or you can say the polarization of photon. Okay, or you can use, for example, some property of electron like spin. Okay, or there is another platform which is called, let's say, superconducting qubits. Okay, and many more. Actually, there are different platforms, there are different initiatives, okay, to realize quantum particles and quantum states, and implementation of these gates. Okay, So there is a C minus gate. C minus, I said, if you remember, I'll write again, C minus gate. This is C minus. Also, this is sometimes called C sign also, or C sign. This gate actually precisely can be implemented. Okay, this is experimentally done. Can be implemented. Can be implemented. Maintained in linear optical quantum computing. Okay, so that gate, I mean, I'll just write it down: 1 0 so 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 minus 1. Then the question will be, can I implement C naught gate using this gate? Because this gate can be implemented experimentally, and it is possible. So basically, what you have to do is you have a matrix for the C naught gate, and you have to implement that. You have to write that matrix in terms of this and some maybe single qubit gates. Okay, so we can implement C naught gate using this 2 by 2 matrix in linear optical quantum computing. Another gate is called ISWAP. Okay, this gate can be implemented in superconducting qubits. Superconducting quantum computing via, there is something called XY model and it's called XX model. Okay, via the Hamiltonians. Okay, corresponding to XY model. So there is also, in fact, there's a bigger thing here, but let us just not. But anyway, let me just say a sentence or a statement, which is, in fact, it can also be proved. So this is another model of quantum computation. Any quantum algorithm in this world or any quantum computation can be looked at as a quantum walk on a graph. Okay, so like that Ising interaction I was telling you, right? So anyway, so yeah, so anything, any quantum algorithm can be realized as a quantum walk on a graph, on a combinatorial graph. So essentially, quantum walks also form a universal model of quantum computation. And there are two kinds of quantum walks: one is discrete, one is continuous, which we are not going to discuss. I think it is not possible. So time will not permit us to discuss that. But that is another set of quantum models. Okay, quantum computing model. So then the question is how to implement quantum walks.
Sir,
Okay,
what is
experimentally.
ISWAP gate, sir?
Yeah, I'm defining what is ISO.
Okay.
I'm giving you the matrix. So this matrix is 1 0 0 0 0 0 I 0 0 I 0 0 and 0 0 0 1. This can be implemented. Then the question would be, can you implement C naught gate using this? Okay, because this can be experimentally implemented. Another gate is called square root of swap gate. And this gate can be implemented, okay, in electron spin of electrons. So it is called spintronic quantum computing. Okay, and this gate, square root of swap is nothing but, I think we said it, but I mean square of something we said, C naught gate, I think. As not C naught, but not gate. 0. So similar to that, 2 half minus I by 2, 0, 0, half minus I by 2, half plus I by 2, then 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay, so another gate, which is a generalized version of this one, okay, that is called swap. So this is also in spin electron. This is called swap to the power alpha, which is 1 0 0 0 0 half 1 plus e to the power I pi alpha. So there's just a parameter here. It is a generalized version. I pi alpha 0 0 half 1 minus e to the power I pi alpha half 1 plus e to the power I pi alpha 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. So this gate also can be implemented for some values of alpha. So yeah, or you can just forget about this gate, just focus on square root of swap. So the question would be, can we implement this CNOT gate using these gates? Okay. Yeah. Now what we'll do, so here I'll end about discussing about quantum computation, and maybe now we can start talking about complexity, circuit complexity, or maybe we can do that next week, next day, maybe tomorrow. And what we can do now? Okay, I'll just ask you a few questions as to case, or maybe I'll start it tomorrow, not a problem. So yeah, so I'll stop here today. Tomorrow I also have an appointment, but not in the afternoon. Okay, fine. So yeah, so we'll stop here today. If you have any questions, you can ask me now.
Sir, yes, sir. One question, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.